It was a warm, sunny afternoon in downtown Atlanta. Susan, a young African-American woman, sat her day patiently on a bench by the bustling street. She was scrolling through her phone, awaiting her husband, Captain Anthony Wilson, who had recently been appointed as the new captain of the Atlanta Police Department. Pride and excitement filled her heart as she thought about Anthony's dedication and hard work that had brought him to this significant milestone. She felt honored to stand by his side as his partner in life. As Susan waited, she noticed two police officers, Johnson and Thompson, walking in her direction. A subtle unease crept over her, but she brushed it off, assuming they were simply on duty. However, their direct approach toward her made her feel slightly uneasy. "Excuse me, Miss," Officer Johnson said curtly, his eyes scanning her intently. "What are you doing here?" Susan smiled politely, trying to diffuse any potential tension. "I'm waiting for my husband," she replied. "He's running a little late." Officer Thompson raised an eyebrow, his expression skeptical. "What's your husband's name?" Though Susan's instincts warned her that something felt off, she remained composed. "Captain Anthony Wilson," she answered confidently. "He's the new captain of the Atlanta Police Department." The officers exchanged a glance. For a fleeting moment, Susan thought she saw uncertainty flicker across their faces, but it was quickly replaced with a sense of arrogance. "Well, Miss," Officer Johnson sneered, "we're going to have to ask you to stand up and turn around. We need to search you." Susan's eyes widened in shock. "What? I haven't done anything wrong," she protested. Officer Thompson took a step closer, his hand resting on his gun. "Ma'am, please cooperate. We have reason to believe you might be involved in suspicious activity." Susan's mind raced, filled with questions and frustration. She knew she was being racially profiled, but she understood the importance of staying calm. Slowly, she stood up, raised her hands, and turned around. As the officers conducted their search, Susan felt a wave of humiliation and anger. She knew this was unjust, yet she held her composure, knowing that any reaction could escalate the situation. Just as they finished, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Grateful for the distraction, she quickly pulled it out and saw a text from Anthony. "Hey babe, running a bit late. Where are you?" Susan's heart raced as she typed a response. "Anthony, I'm on the corner of 5th and Main. 2 officers are harassing me. Please hurry." After sending the message, she felt a small sense of relief. She knew Anthony would arrive soon and handle the situation. However, what Susan didn't realize was that the officers had no idea who they were dealing with. They were entirely unaware that the woman they were harassing was the wife of their new captain, a mistake that would soon have serious consequences. As Susan waited, the officers lingered nearby, their eyes filled with suspicion and hostility. She tried to ignore their presence, but their intense gazes were impossible to overlook. Just as her patience began to wear thin, a black SUV pulled up to the curb. The door opened, and Anthony stepped out with an air of authority. Anthony's expression was calm, but Susan could see the simmering anger beneath his composed exterior. He approached the officers with steady, confident strides. "Can I help you, officers?" he asked, his deep voice firm. Officer Johnson stepped forward, his hand still resting on his gun. "We're conducting a routine stop, Captain. This woman was acting suspiciously," he said, unaware of the irony. Anthony's eyes narrowed slightly as he glanced at Susan before turning back to the officers. "I see," he said. "And what exactly was she doing that seemed suspicious?" Officer Thompson's tone was laced with condescension. "She was just sitting here, not doing anything, but she looked out of place, so we thought we'd check her out." Anthony's expression turned icy, his gaze piercing. "I see," he repeated. "Well, let me make something very clear. This woman is my wife, and I don't appreciate you harassing her." The officers' faces paled as the realization hit them. They exchanged nervous glances, fumbling for words. I'm sorry, Captain," Officer Johnson stammered. "We didn't know." Anthony cut him off sharply. "You didn't know because you didn't bother to find out. Instead, you saw a black woman sitting alone and assumed she was up to no good. That's not policing. That's racial profiling." The officers looked as though they had been struck. Their faces turned red with embarrassment and shame. Susan watched with a mix of pride and gratitude as Anthony stood up for her and called out their behavior. Suddenly, Anthony's phone rang, breaking the tense silence. He answered, his expression growing darker with each passing second. "What is it, Chief?" he asked. Susan could sense something serious was happening. "What is it, Anthony?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. Anthony locked eyes with her, his expression grim. It's that chief. He's been receiving complaints about Officers Johnson and Thompson. Apparently, they have a history of racial profiling and harassment. Susan's jaw dropped. What? That's outrageous, she exclaimed. It is, Anthony agreed, his tone resolute, and it's not going to be tolerated, not under my command. Turning to the officers, Anthony delivered his verdict. Officers Johnson and Thompson, you are hereby suspended, pending an investigation into your actions. Turn in your badges and guns immediately and report to the precinct for further instructions. The officers' faces turned ashen as they stammered weak protest, but Anthony was unmoved. You should have thought of that before you decided to harass my wife, he said firmly. Now comply. With great reluctance and visible humiliation, the officers handed over their badges and firearms before walking away in silence. Anthony then turned to Susan, his demeanor softening. Are you okay, babe? He asked gently. Susan nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. I'm fine, thanks to you. Anthony smiled, his eyes warm. That's what husbands are for, he said, pulling her into a comforting hug. As they embraced, Susan felt immense gratitude and love for Anthony. He had stood by her and upheld justice, even in the face of systemic prejudice. This moment, though painful, became a testament to their resilience and sheer commitment to what was right. And so, this story comes to an end. Thank you for watching and sticking with us until the very last word. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Have a wonderful day.